Hey, so you're thinking about recording your first YouTube video and you're a little worried about your audio quality? Good, you should be worried about your audio quality. In fact, your audio quality could be more important than your video quality. You don't believe me? Check this out. Now yeah, this video quality is pretty awful, but you could still watch this video and get something from it. However, this audio quality, how long would you put up with this? 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it's awful. Your viewers will put up with a little bad video, but bad audio, they are out of there right away. Tip number 1, be consistent. Find an audio setup that works for you and use it throughout the entire video. Don't record on your phone for one scene and then switch to your camera's internal microphone for another scene and then, I don't know, some external microphone for a third scene. Because even if those are really great microphones, switching from one to another is gonna sound really unprofessional. And in fact, if you are going from one location to another location, use the same camera, use the same microphone, have it the same distance from your mouth, and point it in the same direction in the same way each time. If you're making a how-to video and you need a voiceover to describe something you're showing in your video, record your voiceover the exact same way, the exact same distance from your mouth, the exact same microphone. It's totally okay to record video just for the audio. And now that I've said that, I'm actually going to break that rule for this video, but there's a reason. I'm actually going to be demonstrating different microphones to you, and it's important that you be able to hear the different sounds. So you're probably asking yourself, hey, should I just use the microphone that's built into my camera? And the answer is usually that that's probably the worst option. Why? Physics is why, actually. Because when we get further away from a sound source, the volume drops off. So if you're far away from your sound source, or if your camera is far away from you, you're gonna have to raise the volume to balance it out so that it's loud enough. But when you raise the volume, you also raise the volume of all that background noise, all the birds chirping or the airplanes flying over, or even the echoes in the room that you're in. And that sounds really bad. So what you want for good audio is to have the microphone as close to your mouth as possible. Now, we don't have that same problem with light. If you move a camera further away from what you're filming, it doesn't get darker, it just gets smaller. Moving your camera a few feet away from you is probably not gonna ruin the shot, and it may actually look better. However, it could ruin the audio. Now I realize sometimes you just don't have a choice. You have to use the microphone that's built into your camera. So tip number 2 is, if you have to use the built-in microphone on your camera, frame your shot so that you're as close as possible, because you want that microphone as close as possible to your mouth. And then be consistent with that distance. So if you take your camera outside, or you take your camera to a new room or a different location, or even just move it around, try and have the distance from your camera and your microphone to your face the same all the time. Now, different cameras have different types of microphones, and some cameras have microphones that no matter where the sound is coming from, it's gonna be the same volume. It could be coming from behind it, it could be coming from in front of it, and the volume is gonna be the same. These are known as omnidirectional microphones, or just omni mics. Other cameras have microphones that zero in on what they're pointed at, and they ignore sound from the sides, from the back, and really focus in on where they're pointed. Now, these are called cardioid microphones or shotgun microphones. And a shotgun microphone is really just an extreme version of a cardioid microphone. So I'm using the names rather interchangeably in this video. Now, if you are out in a forest and you want to record the ambient noise of the forest, then an omnidirectional microphone is gonna be perfect. Or you're in the city and you want the urban sounds from all around you. But if you're recording voice, you probably don't want the birds chirping to be as loud as your voice, because it's gonna make you really hard to understand. For most purposes, using a shotgun mic or a cardioid microphone is going to be better for recording voice. And if you're inside, like a studio or your house or something like that, you still want a shotgun mic or a cardioid mic, because when you're in a room, the sound bounces off all the walls and comes back into the microphone as well, and it can make your voice really muddy sounding and hard to understand. But if you have a shotgun mic, it tends to ignore some of those reflections and makes your voice clearer. So how do you know what kind of microphone is built into your camera? Here, I'll show you. And here, come with me. I'm going to show you an easy trick to tell if your camera has an omnidirectional or a cardioid microphone. And to demonstrate this, I've brought out two cameras today. I have my Panasonic GH4 and I have the Sony ZV-1 as well. Now we're looking at the GH4 here, which has an omnidirectional microphone. And if you can hear how my voice sounds here, now watch as I turn my camera 180 degrees. The sound quality doesn't change all that much. This is 180 degrees here and the sound hasn't changed a whole lot. And that's great if you want to record, you know, all the ambience of the cars driving by and the crows flying and croaking and all that. But for voice recording, it's not ideal. And now I'm recording on the Sony ZV-1, and this camera is designed for vlogging and for talking to the camera. And the microphone on top of it is a cardioid or shotgun microphone. And so notice as I turn my camera around here, the audio quality of my voice changes really dramatically, and that's because of the shotgun microphone on top. Tip number 3, when recording voice, use a cardioid microphone, use a shotgun microphone. From a sound quality standpoint, it probably makes sense to have an external microphone like this one just right in front of your face and plug it into your camera. I actually have a long cable running from this microphone into the camera, and that way I have the best of both possible worlds. I have the microphone really close to my voice, and I can set the camera at an appropriate distance for my videos. Now, if you're using an external microphone, get it up off of your desk or whatever work surface you're using, because when it's on the surface like this, you're gonna pick up lots of thumps and bumps, and you might not even realize that you're picking those up until after you're finished your video, and you'll be like, why did I do that? So get it up off your desk. In fact, you might want to use one of these things. Now this mounts to the desk and it absorbs a lot of the shocks, and if you accidentally hit your desk or something like that, it acts like a shock absorber and absorbs some of those thumps and bumps. Or even better, get a dedicated mic stand, put it on the floor, and don't have it touch your desk, and you'll avoid all of that handling noise and the thumps and the bumps. Now, what if you don't want a microphone sitting right in front of your face? Well, one of the options is to position a microphone just out of the camera frame. Think Hollywood with the boom microphones on a stick, and they're held above the actors' heads. I'm doing the same thing right now. I have a boom microphone right above my head, I have a mic stand over here, and I have a boom that holds it. So I'm able to get it really close to my face. It's about a foot away, and yet you can't see it. Now this is called a lavalier microphone, and while it's not exactly invisible, it's really small and unobtrusive, and what you do is you clip it to your clothing, and usually you put it on your chest, and that way it's always the exact same distance from your mouth, and it's very close to your mouth. And you can buy inexpensive ones that are just on a cord and they plug directly into your camera, but be careful because you are literally tied to your camera. So if you accidentally walk away and forget, either the microphone goes flying or your camera comes toppling over. Now, of course, you could spend even more money and get a wireless microphone that uses radio frequencies, and you have a little pack on your that you can clip to your belt, and so you can walk around with it and you can maybe move 50 feet away from your camera, but those cost quite a bit more money. Now, a more recent invention is a lavalier mic that hooks into a Bluetooth transmitter. Now, you can't necessarily use that with a camera, but you can use it with a phone. So you could actually use your phone as your main camera and have a wireless Bluetooth lavalier recording the audio. There are some downsides to lavalier microphones. I mean, they're super cute and small, which is great because you can't see them very well, but also they're small. And physics, once again, gets in the way. Because they're so small, there's a physical limit to how low the frequencies they can record. And as a result, they sound a little tinny, a little thin compared to regular microphones. And lavalier mics are a good solution for a lot of people, but also the wireless and the Bluetooth versions, in both cases, I have noticed like high frequency noises and radio interference and things like that. You know, that can sort of make a mess of your recordings as well. That doesn't mean don't use them, it's just, you know, there's some extra things you need to think about and test. Speaking of noises and bad audio, another tip is check your audio before you finished your video recording session, because once you've torn down your lights and you've torn down your camera and you've gone back and you're ready to edit it and you find out that your audio is ruined, it could be really difficult or expensive to go back and film again. Now, if you don't already have an external microphone for your camera or for your phone, it's probably time to invest in one, even if it's an inexpensive one. I recently reviewed an inexpensive shotgun microphone from a company called Movo, and you can see the review right up there. So click that. You really need to check it out. Now, they didn't pay me to review it. I bought it with my own money, but it's worth checking out.